What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction and back with some more mags. We're back with some more Magne F, and we're going back to the 2004 album Past Perfect Future Tense, which again, I love the phrasing of that. I love all the temporal and semantic implications of that. We did just listen to the title track, and by just, I mean it's the previous track in this deep dive, which admittedly is still in its infancy, and again, as I'm implying, I think it's been like a month or so, maybe even a little bit longer. I do apologize. Again, I'm just going through so many different deep dives. I mentioned in a few reactions recently, I'm basically at the point where it feels like critical mass, like any more reactions would just slow everything down even more, so I am trying to go through some of them and knock some of them down so that over time, some of the ones that maybe I've been neglecting a bit, I can get to more regularly. So basically, I'm trying to just balance everything, trying to manage everything, but the peripheral reaction deep dives, I am going to try to get back on a more regular schedule with. So yeah, as I said, the next tune in Past Perfect Future Tense is No One Gets Me But You. I do enjoy the simplicity of that concept, though I have to point out that U is written as the capital letter U, which feels very text message for 2004. It feels like something that you would write today more than something you would write 20 years ago. Nevertheless, yeah, I enjoy the simplicity of that idea. I've been fortunate enough to be in a couple relationships, I would say, where it just felt like, you know, we could be in a public place, we could be among good friends, and yet, like, when it really came down to it, in any given moment, the only person I felt like was completely on the same wavelength and, you know, thinking in the same way as me was my girlfriend at the time. So I know what it's like to have that feeling of, like, you and this other person have this special connection where, you, again, it's like you don't even need to say anything because you both kind of, like, you just know, like, in the moment. So I do know what that experience is like. So it sounds like, with the phrasing of the title, the person is enjoying or feeling satisfied with that connection, with that dynamic, that only this other person truly gets them, truly knows who they are, truly sees experiences and events in the same way. So yeah, it feels like a tune, a title that speaks to a great bond. Now, there could be more to it than that. It could be a more complicated relationship. But yeah, like I said, it feels like a positive assessment of this other person's perception as it relates to their own personality and disposition. So let's find out. This is Magne F. The tune is No One Gets Me But You, and it's from the 2004 album Past Perfect Future Tense. Oh, I like that roll in. Almost sounds like Smashing Pumpkins or something.
Everybody says I'm too tightly wired. Everyone thinks I'm too high strung. Everyone knows what I should do, but no one gets me. Everyone's afraid of missing the action. Everybody wants their lives to be touched. Everyone wants to get it together, but no one gets me. Everybody has you over for dinner, but no one really stays in touch. Everybody knows that less is more, but we all want it too much. Everybody says what's on their mind, but no one thinks it through. Everyone feels they know what I need, but no one gets me but you.
Waited for that earlier.
Everybody knows the game is rigged. Everyone says it's a curse. Everybody knows the asking price, but never what it's worth. Everybody has too much on the plate. Everyone argues their fate. Everyone knows it's worth a while, but no one wants to wait. Everybody's taking it to the streets, but no one brings it home. Everybody needs a helping hand, 'cause nobody walks it alone. Everybody plays to win, 'cause nobody likes to lose.
love this string cinematic ending, or latter stage. That flute again. Feels like an Indian flute. I don't actually know if it's a flute, but that's what it sounds like. Well, that was gorgeous. Yeah, I love strings in a lot of different contexts, but that was a really well written string component to the final, I don't know, third of the track in particular. So yeah, composition wise, I love that. It did sound essentially like what I was feeling, that, you know, even while a lot of other people are saying this or doing this one thing, or everyone is like clearly knows that this is the way, you know, that something should happen, it's like you and this other person are sort of like, actually, you know, we see it a little bit differently, but, you know, we don't even have to say that. It felt like that, that knowing connection relative to other people, and maybe, you know, going against trends in the sense that trying to feel things naturally and not just going along with what someone says or what other people tend to do. So I suppose it felt like a bit original, a bit non-conforming, but also about that there is this other person who, you know, happens to see things and feel things in a very similar way that the narrator does. So yeah, not quite sure of the nature of the relationship and, you know, where it might stand. It felt like maybe it was less about that and more about these concepts that everyone's taken to the streets, but no one wants to take, you know, wisdom or other things home. Like, you know, everyone's saying this, but we're kind of seeing it differently. So it felt more about their dynamic relative to everybody else and the social situations in which they were found. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear what other people think about this one. I enjoyed it a lot sonically. As I said, the composition was fantastic. I enjoyed not only the like classical section at the end, but there was that part in the middle where it was definitely giving me Beatles vibes. So, which, you know, there have been aha tunes, and not only a couple, I'd say, you know, a handful, maybe even several that have given me Beatles vibes to various degrees. So yeah, ultimately it's not surprising to hear that in a Magne tune. But yeah, another cool one. Again, I'll try to get back on a more regular schedule with Mag's musical output. Again, in this folder I have access to this album, and then another one, which as long as I'm talking about it, might as well look it up. The other one I have access to is A Dot of Black in a Blue, in the Blue of Your Bliss. That's a crazy and chromatic phrase. So yeah, that one's 2008. So when we're done with this one, we'll move on to that and you know, see what else there is available. Nevertheless, let me know what you think of the tune. I will see you next time. Peace.